You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. We've been talking about heat the last few segments, and we have just a bit more. A family in Washington is suing oil companies for allegedly causing the death of a woman who died in 2021 due to extreme heat. Julie Leon died of hyperthermia on June 28, 2021, the hottest day on record in Seattle's history. The temperature that day reached 108 degrees. The family now claims that climate change caused the extreme heat that killed Leon and that big oil is directly responsible for that climate change. Major oil companies named in the lawsuit include ExxonMobil, Chevron, BP, and Shell. Joining me now to talk about this case is KSL's legal analyst, Greg Skordas, who is also the co-host of Inside Sources. So, Greg, is it going to be pretty hard for these people to prove that this is actually the case, kind of connect that big oil and climate change go together?
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult, not impossible, but they've gone through in this complaint, Maria, some of the statements that oil and some of these big companies made or were aware of, knowing that what they were doing by burning fossil fuels was creating and contributing to our climate change. So they're saying that over the course of years, and they go back quite a few years, that these companies knew or should have known that what they were doing was creating a hazardous environment. And this woman, like you say, died of hyperthermia. It was a record heat day in the state of Washington the day she died, and they're claiming that the only reason why they were having record heat at that time, or the main contributing reason, was that the fossil fuel industry was polluting the environment and causing what we now call climate change.
So what type of precedents exist for a case like this?
I think the closest I can come to are the cases against big tobacco years ago, where people were claiming that they developed cancer and or addiction to nicotine and some of the ingredients that were in tobacco, and they were claiming that as a result of that, people were dying. And they brought cases and lawsuits against big tobacco. To me, this is very similar. It might be just the tip of the iceberg of number of cases that might come down, or maybe class action lawsuits, or maybe even cases brought by the state of Utah or other states. But yeah, there is some precedence, although this one takes it to a new level that we haven't seen before.
Right. But even for the big tobacco claims, that was a long haul. I mean, that was years and years before anything was determined.
Right. And this is going to be the same thing. It was filed just very recently in the state of Washington. It was removed, or is about to be removed to the federal court in the state of Washington. And like I said, it could be the beginning of something, or it may get thrown out immediately, and by a judge who say you know there's no way to make that connection between the conduct of the defendants here, these big oil companies, and the heat that caused this woman's death.
Are there any similar cases moving through the judicial system right now?
If there are, I have not seen them. I mean, like I said, this could be an outlier. This could be something where other people are willing to jump on the bandwagon. But they had to have a good plaintiff, someone that actually was suffered as a result of the conduct of these companies. And this woman died. So in my opinion, they at least found an appropriate plaintiff, an appropriate person to bring in action. And she died from hyperthermia. She died from too much heat, a heat exhaustion that got to the point where it caused her death. So they've got a plaintiff that can say, I was damaged by the heat, and that arguably that was created by the conduct of these defendants.
What are some of the specific arguments in there, and do you think they're going to hold water?
Yeah, their arguments were that they go through a lot of years of studies, and that they knew that this was going on. They knew that what they were doing was creating problems, and that they've known that for years and years, actually decades. But they still continue to do it, and they were actually deceptive about it. That they, even though they have internal memorandum and some government records that show that even back in the early 70s and 80s, that they knew that this fossil fuel was going to cause a problem with the environment, that they continue to do that, and that they cause this overheating of the environment, which is now causing death.
Looks like this case was filed in the Superior Court of Washington for King County first, but then moved to the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Washington. Any idea why that would be?
So the defendants, the oil and gas companies, moved it to federal court, saying that it has federal jurisdiction. Now, I don't know whether the state of Washington is going to agree with that, but they're saying that there's what we call diversity of citizenship. That is, these companies are all registered out of state. And in America, when you file a lawsuit and you have diversity of citizenship, it's removed to the federal court so that you don't say, well, I'm in Utah and I'm going to sue somebody from another state, thinking that you're going to get an advantage because it's the home court advantage, so to speak. So when there's a diversity of citizenship, a diversity of residency, they usually will take a case into federal court.
So what is the overall goal here? What are they hoping to accomplish or get out of this lawsuit?
Well, they're certainly asking for damages, and they're saying it caused her death, but they're also, I think, trying to make a point. And they really went through a whole bunch of studies and whatnot here. I mean, I think this is the beginning of something that could be very significant. But this is at its core, it's a wrongful death lawsuit. It's a lawsuit where they're claiming that the conduct of these people, these entities rather, caused some person's death, and so the damages could be astronomical.
Okay, Greg, thanks for being with me. Greg Skordas is KSL's legal analyst and the co-host of Inside Sources, airing weekdays on KSL News Radio beginning at 9 in the morning.